What's up, Kenra? It's your girl Lo. I am so excited to work on Cassie today and show you a really simple balayage technique. It is so simple that you are going to question, how is this going to work for you? But trust me, these balayage techniques are really, really easy. I feel like sometimes we complicate things because we associate complicated processes with adding value, but there is beauty and art to simplicity. So trust the process and let the chemicals do the work for you. All you have to do is create a simple plan and trust the process. We are going to create a really buttery balayage poppy look on Cass, and as you can see, her base is pretty blonde. She has a nice light base color. It's pretty, diffused from past blonding services all throughout the hair. So our task today isn't to recreate the wheel, it's just to add pops in the right places. And to do that, I'm gonna use the Kenra Blue Powder Lightener plus 30 volume. I love 30 volume because it just does the trick. Whether I'm working on brunettes or blondes, really doesn't matter. Basically, what will change my course from 30 volume is the integrity, which you don't want to push weak, fragile hair. But Cassie's hair feels great, so 30 volume is what we're going to use today. So let's start sectioning. When you have a client like Cass in your chair, when you start to get into all these little subsections, you lose a lot of the end result drama. So I'm going to be looking at her hair from, a 5 foot away perspective, if that helps you. So when I drop down each section to evaluate, I'm looking for how the hair is going to connect as a whole, because this is gonna give us the details in the hair that we want. As hairstylists, sometimes we get too close to the root in the sections and it creates more work for us. But this tutorial is especially for you if you are an overfoiler. It's to empower you to rethink of how you want to approach the hair. So with Cass, as you can see, the closer to the front of her hair we work, the littler the length is. So what we want to do is look at her hair as a whole. I'd like to create a piece that connects all of this together and then just blend the rest in. So what I'm going to do is, instead of working so closely to the front of her hair, it gets to about this point where we start losing the front piece. So I'm not gonna worry about anything in the crown until we get into our tone. I always like to work from bottom to top. That way, whatever section I complete, the next section marries into it. So it creates a nice flow with the placement. I'm gonna hold each section over her ear, pretty much straight over her shoulder. This is gonna make it so that the placement stays really, really clean. And I can layer the front piece right over it. My Blue Powder Lightener is mixed usually 2 to 1. This is a thicker viscosity, and that works really well when you have girls in your chair that have very fine hair, because when you have too loose of texture and consistency, that just slides through each section. So the finer the hair, the thicker the lightener, but beware of having it mixed too thick because you don't want your lightener to dry out. This is not a clay lightener, and that can happen, and the lift stops when you lose the moisture. So you just want to make sure that you're somewhere in between. Now for this little mini section, I want to bring it up a little higher and then make it a little bolder, kind of just beyond her eyebrow. That's going to give us some drama. Again, I'm holding it, each section pretty firm. And then in here, I'm gonna bring the action. You want to double check what the underneath is doing. That's Balayage 101. And then I like to just marry this section, the very tippy tip with the section before. And you can see the drama that we're creating. Now in here, you can see we can have a little space to connect this, and then we'll just, I don't really want to overlap through this. So my job will be to pick up just beyond this little highlight, but we'll freshen up the retouch. This is why I love balayage. You can really see what you're doing. It's very intuitive. You can create so much drama in the hair. It's actually a lot less labor too, because you don't have to work as hard to shadow in the bowl. As long as you're comfortable with warmth in the hair, which Cassie and I discussed, we want like this butter gold. Balayage is just so good. You definitely could do this application on a brunette, in which case I would definitely stick to 30 volume and the blue powder lightener. On blondes like Cass, you could opt into using the Kenra clay lightener, which is a really great option. It's self-encapsulating and it really has a nice lift for being a clay lightener. Clays typically give you a couple levels of lift, which would be perfectly adequate for Cass. For a brunette, I like to recommend sticking with the blue powder lightener because it's self-toning and it also has up to 8 levels of lift, which is just so beautiful for a brunette balayage. If you're working on somebody that's a level 1, 2, 3, I recommend, if you'd like to try this application, wrapping it with saran wrap or enclosing it in foils, because the extra heat from those incubators will drive your lift higher and pull you out of the red undertones. If you're looking to create like a mahogany, root beer, reddish balayage, then you could stick to this formula, but I always like the safety net of using the foil or saran to drive the process further. Cassie has a little bit more hair on the right side, so I'm just taking a little more care to do one more subsection just so I stay super clean. It's those little customizations that, you know, you're not gonna learn from a tutorial. You have to just trust your instinct and do what's right for your client. This is so simple. This is where we're going to hold back from over balayaging, because this placement is highly effective, especially if you are bringing in your regular clients and you want to move them towards a more dramatic pop and they already have a buildup of color. This will create like that game-changing pop and overall design aesthetic that you're looking for. Especially, like I mentioned, on those clients, like all of us have foil clients. And depending on where you're starting with in their overall look of their hair, so much of these details can just get lost in like the mundane maintenance appointment. Let's tackle your regrowth. But this is like an overall 5 foot away perspective. You want your clients to walk into the grocery store and be like, wow, getting the compliments because they have a dynamic 5 foot look. So I'm gonna let her hair color process for a good 45 minutes or more. And then we're gonna do some more customizations in the toning bowl. Here's Cassie's end result. Look at how beautiful and just bright, buttery, and dynamic ribbons we were able to create just with such a minimalistic placement. I feel like this is what I live for, is simple, beautiful, effortless, Victoria's Secret looking hair that is achievable in a session. And I just feel like less is more. If you love my minimalist approach to hair color, you have to subscribe on YouTube right now to the Kenra Professional YouTube channel, because I share so many tutorials coming from a minimalist approach that are so easy to try in your home salon. And if you'd like to follow my hair journey on Instagram, you can find me at @low_Wheeler Davis.